really happy, really excited to be here. I'm thankful and blessed. And to be traded, but then move somewhere like, come here and come home. It's a great feeling.
It's a rare luxury in the NBA to play for your hometown. LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and Derrick Rose all lived the dream of representing the place that made them. And in return, they were adored by fans and treated like royalty by their teams. But that treatment is reserved for superstars. So what happens when a non-superstar gets the same opportunity? Well, if you look at RJ Barrett's tenure with the Raptors, it's one of uncertainty, disrespect, and rare moments of celebration. Like anything, there's good with the bad, and RJ has taken it all in stride. But 20 months on the trade block can't be fun. In today's video, I want to answer a question I see asked a lot. Why are the Raptors trying to trade RJ Barrett so badly? The 25-year-old is set to enter his third season with the Raptors and second year sitting on the trade block. On the surface, that might be confusing. A quick look at his counting stats and you'll see the Raptors' leading scorer who has raised his level of play since arriving in Toronto, a city he was raised in. But to understand the Raptors' motivation for wanting to trade RJ, it requires a deeper look into several factors. It should be said right off the top, this has nothing to do with RJ's personality or professionalism. By all accounts, he's an excellent teammate and fantastic person. He's hardworking, generous with his time, and very humble. The cold reality of the NBA, however, means that those intangibles are merely considered as sweeteners rather than a central pillar of a player's value. There are plenty of players whose ability allows them to get away with a less than likable character, but in terms of character, consider that a plus for RJ. Now, jumping straight into reason number one, money. The RJ situation is very much collateral damage of the Raptors' current team build and cap sheet. As currently constructed, the Raptors have the 19th highest payroll and are $1.1 million into the first April, which means they will have restrictions on transactions, including sign-in trades, signing of waive players with a salary above the MLE, and salary matching in trades. $1.1 million is not very much and can easily be deducted at the trade deadline without dealing RJ. However, many look at his $27.7 million salary as an overpay for what he provides the team. A deeper look into his statistical impact on the team will be covered in part 2. While his current contract is somewhat hamstringing the Raptors' flexibility, the greater concern, it seems, is his upcoming potential extension. RJ and his representation no doubt want a raise. He's played better than he did in New York when he secured his current contract, and that typically results in a boost in salary. But for the Raptors, who are paying nearly $130 million for 4 of their 5 starters not named RJ, a raise isn't really possible, especially when the league is turning away from defensively deficient scorers. We see Cam Thomas and Quentin Grimes unable to secure contract extensions, and players like Anthony Simons, Jordan Poole, and Devin Vassell, who are on similar value deals to RJ, being valued very low around the league. By 2027, the Raptors will have an active roster salary of $159 million with just 6 players signed, as Pirtle's extension will have kicked in by then. Assuming Grady Dick has also been extended by then, bringing their roster to 7 players, they will have very little room under the cap and no space for a $30 million plus salary for RJ. So the motivation to get off RJ now is no doubt heavily fueled by financial reasons. A look around the league, many starting lineups have a sub-$10 million player to give cap room for their max contracts. I believe that's what the Raps hope they have with Jacoby Walter, if he can prove to be worthy of starter minutes. For the Raptors to be competitive and affordable in the coming years, they'll have to shed at least one big salary. And the odd man out is clearly RJ, since he is the only one not extended beyond 2026. To explain the other main reason why the Raptors are so intent on moving off RJ Barrett, we need to wade into the confusing world of predictive analytics. I think we underestimate just how much teams are leaning into analytics now. We think of every team exec as a savvy basketball mind, some more than others, who utilize the eye test and player evaluation. While I think there are still old school guys who do that, for the most part, players are judged greatly on their advanced stats and novel predictive analytics scores. Without going too far into the weeds on this, I'll try to give you a basic lesson in predictive analytics. Models are built by combining box score data, on-off data, and regularization. If you watch basketball, I'm sure you're familiar with the first 2 terms, but the last one might be new to you. Think of regularization as using prior results to even out outlier performances. Its role in analytics is to quiet volatile statistics. Now, when you apply regularization to box score statistics, it can grant a predictive element. Basically, if you have 3 years of data that says a player is a poor 3-point shooter, you can reasonably predict they will continue to be a poor 3-point shooter going forward. Essentially, these metrics allow you to quantify a player's impact on winning compared to their peers and predict how that will be going forward. Now, how does all this relate to RJ Barrett? For our purposes, we'll be looking at 3 models. LeBron, Rapham, and Darko. RJ would be the Raptors' starting shooting guard this season, and to assess his value in that role, we should compare him to his peers. I've pulled the data for RJ plus the 11 other starting shooting guards on non-tanking teams this season, and the results are very telling as to why the Raptors might not see RJ as their long-term shooting guard. When we look at how these players score on each statistic, we see that RJ is tied for last in Darko with Jared McCain, he's second last in 4-year Rapham, and third last in LeBron. Now, if you look at the other side of the spectrum, you have Donovan Mitchell, Derek White, Desmond Bane, Tyler Hero. These are all-star or fringe all-star players who contribute to winning a lot of games. These are also players closer in contract value to RJ, versus the players on the bottom of the spectrum who are on rookie or minimum deals apart from RJ. So value-wise, RJ is not providing an impact that matches with his high salary despite his high counting stats. This might seem nitpicky, but these are the types of numbers front offices are using now when they make decisions on players. Now, if you contrast all that with the players the Raptors do have extended into 2027, you'll see why I think metrics like these really matter to the front office. Hurdle, Barnes, Quickly, and Ingram all rank at the top of the team and have a positive rating in most of these advanced stats. Also interesting to me is that Jacoby Walter ranks ahead of Ochai, Grady, Shed, Battle, and basically any member of the Raptors bench. I also do expect Colin Murray-Boyles to be a high performer in most of these metrics. There's a very clear dividing line on who's considered a future piece and who isn't, and unfortunately for RJ, he finds himself on the wrong side of that line. To wrap this up, RJ's basic counting stats are impressive, and I think there are pathways that he can be a part of a winning team, but all reports suggest Bobby Webster and the Raptors have no intention of seeing how that might play out. Unfortunately, as the year-long search for a trade partner would indicate, other teams aren't jumping to acquire RJ either. Contract-wise and impact-wise, RJ can be seen as a negative player to have in your organization, even if RJ the person is resoundingly positive. As a fan of RJ myself, I understand that league-wide teams are prioritizing two-way players, and RJ doesn't exactly fit into that archetype. I still think there's room for some score-first guards in a six-man role, which is a bit complicated for players with RJ's contract. Nobody really wants a $30 million sixth man unless they're happy being well into the tax and aprons. All that is to say, the Raptors are being cautious of committing to anything that harms future flexibility. A basic financial and statistical analysis reveals that re-signing RJ Barrett will be antithetical to their future plans, so don't expect the Maple Mamba to come off the trade block anytime soon. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I know it's a lot to take in, but hopefully that provides some clarity as to why the Raptors really want to trade RJ Barrett.